So what is the environmental importance of our wetlands? Years ago, some people thought wetlands were just stinky, bug-infested wastelands. The truth is that wetlands are very important to us, even though they are sometimes pretty stinky. They serve as a place for wildlife to eat, rest, and serve even as a nursery for young fish and wildlife. But wetlands can also act as a filter or a sponge, and even as a tourist attraction. Wetlands help maintain water quality, recharge aquifers and reduce flood damage, provide habitat, and are great places to go paddling, hunting, bird watching, and fishing. We'll talk about wetlands as a filter. When it rains, water running off city streets, fertilized lawns, landfills, and agricultural fields can pick up and carry high levels of contaminants that may be harmful to plants and animals. This runoff can flow into wetlands. Fortunately, wetlands have the ability to absorb many of these kinds of pollutants, store them, break them down, and in some cases even use them as nutrients to grow wetland plants. Because of this amazing ability to clean up some pollutants, wetlands are being used to help treat wastewater from some cities and even livestock feedlots. Wetlands also improve water quality by cleansing or filtering runoff full of sediment that comes from higher up in the watershed. This helps keep sediment out of our streams and rivers. Sediment is considered the #1 pollutant of our streams and rivers. Next, we'll talk about how wetlands act as a sponge. Wetlands' flatness and lush plant growth slows down the flow of water when it rains. When this happens, water may gently trickle into nearby streams or seep into the aquifer, increasing the amount of groundwater. This ability of wetlands to recharge groundwater is especially important in times of drought and in arid parts of Texas, where communities struggle to deal with declining water tables. The ability for wetlands to slow the flow of water also helps reduce damage caused by floods. When the water from heavy rains reaches wetlands, the water is slowed, and the wetlands act as giant sponges. They first absorb and hold the water and then release it slowly back into the watershed. Unfortunately, humans can disrupt this natural flood control ability of wetlands by building levees along rivers, digging drainage ditches through wetlands, and channelizing streams. The unfortunate consequence of these actions increases damage from floods. Flood control is among the most important benefits provided by wetlands. This benefit often goes unnoticed because wetlands that store floodwater are often located far from where flood damage occurs. When a wetland is drained and destroyed, the runoff that was once stored in the wetland when it rained has to go somewhere. But rather than being stored and slowly released from the intact wetland, the water instead flows rapidly into rivers and streams. The wetland's just not there to hold it anymore. As more and more wetlands are drained throughout a watershed, with nothing to stop the rush of water entering rivers and streams, the amount of water in them becomes more than can fit. This results in water overflowing the river's banks and flooding adjacent areas. By conserving wetlands, properties and people living downstream are protected from flooding. Important aquatic habitat for plants and animals is also protected. Along the Texas coast, wetlands help protect shorelines and areas inland from flooding during huge storms such as hurricanes. Next, we'll talk about how wetlands can be a tourist attraction. Wetlands can help the economy and can attract tourists. Each year, Texas fishermen catch about 30 million pounds of wetland-dependent shrimp, having a value of about $100 million. Texas is also known around the world for great hunting and fishing. Part of the reason for that is the Texas wetlands. Without healthy wetlands, the seafood, fish, birds, the animals we hunt and fish simply not be here. Wetlands are also treasured by millions of photographers, boaters, hikers, wildlife watchers, and this includes tourists who come to Texas just to enjoy the natural beauty that our wetlands provide.